Laura here from What Laura Likes, and today I have Ryan with me who has a very special message that he wants to share with other service members. So I'm just going to let him kind of start talking and we'll go from there.
All right. How's everybody doing? I've been meaning to put this out for probably a week or two.
Yeah.
But got caught up in my own problems regarding this
Mandate.
the mandate from the DoD to for the shot. I was going to come out with a message for y'all because I know everyone's been experiencing the same things that I've been experiencing as a Catholic, and Laura gets messages from service members and their families all the time about this, and a lot of them don't know what to do. And then there's people that I know directly; they don't know what to do. I didn't even know what to do and how to do it for the longest time.
Yeah.
I did look into it like a year ago, but I thought, it'll be fine. It'll work out. Well, I should have listened to my instincts. Anyway, I wrote a little something up a couple weeks ago, and then I had to stop so I could put together my own exemption packet. I'm just going to start reading some of it because the thoughts were sincere. I want to talk to you today as a Catholic man. I want to share with my Catholic brothers and sisters in the armed forces the impending discernment that you all face today. I also want to make it clear that I am not speaking from a position of authority in Catholic teaching, nor am I speaking from a position related to my status in the United States military. I am speaking only from the position as a lay Catholic who shares the experiences of other Catholics who serve in the United States military. Today, you are all faced with a growing pressure to violate your conscience, to give up your bodily autonomy to a drug that is laced with the human embryonic tissue, either in the testing or in the research and development, or in some cases, depending on the type, the actual substance of it. The type of pressure that is being applied varies wherever you are. The thoughts that race through our minds are things like, my career could end here. How will I feed my family or pay my bills? I've worked so hard to come this far, and now I could lose everything I worked for. I don't want to be treated differently than those who choose compliance. I'm tired. I can't do it anymore. You know what you've experienced, and you know what others are experiencing right now. As the storm approaches and we try to keep our eyes on Christ, we feel as if we are being forced to choose between our Heavenly Father and our temporal leaders. Where is the line drawn for us? How can we discern God's will for ourselves? Which master do we choose? I cannot tell you what to do, and I will not tell you what to do. What God's will is for you to discern with prudence all on your own. Now, when I started prepping for this, I was really digging into my catechism a lot, more so than ever before. I never really got into it much before. It was just kind of like here and there. I would read something, and that was it. I never really picked it up. But I started picking it up, and I started trying to use that to help me discern what God's will for me is, because I know in my heart that there's something deeply wrong with this, but I'm having a hard time articulating what my heart is telling me. So I used several paragraphs from the catechism in developing my packet for religious exemption. The parts that I ended up using, and we will upload this, I believe, so you guys can get it from your website.
Yeah, I'm going to put a religious exemption subline in my JAB blog post, and that way it'll have all these listed. They actually are already listed. You gave me a huge long list of catechism, and they are all listed there already.
So the sections that I went to from the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the second edition, was Part 3, Section 1, Chapter 1, which all deals with man's vocation in life and the dignity of the human person. Article 6 is all about the human conscience. Article 8 is about sin. And then I get into Article 7, the virtues. In the virtues, that's when it touches on prudence and how we use prudence. Conscience is clearly defined through so many paragraphs throughout, not just this section, but throughout almost the entire catechism. At least part 3 and on. If you have a PDF, you can control up that, and I think it's listed like 152 times just conscience, and not all the other conjugations of conscience, but
like consciousness.
It's in there hundreds of times. It's a really big deal for us as Catholics, and like I said, it was like in my heart I knew this, but I couldn't articulate it right. One paragraph in particular helps define it rather well. Paragraph 1777. Moral conscience, present at the heart of the person, enjoins him at the appropriate moment to do good and to avoid evil. It also judges particular choices, approving those that are good and denouncing those that are evil. It bears witness to the authority of truth in reference to the supreme good to which the human person is drawn, and it welcomes the commandments. When he listens to his conscience, the prudent man can hear God speaking. So, and it goes on to reaffirm that when you listen to your conscience, you are listening to God from behind a veil that helps us in making our moral judgments. Now, there was a letter put out by the Vatican, and the Archbishop of the Military Archdiocese is echoing that same letter that was put out. And in it, basically, you got to read the letter in its own words, okay? Not the articles that are being pushed out by all these different news agencies, and including the ones that are reportedly Catholic news agencies, okay? Go straight to the letter itself, because the thing that everyone keeps leaving out, because I've argued with this with just about everyone who thinks they know what the Catholic Church's stance is on this, including Catholics themselves, are very confused. You go down to paragraph 5. After every reason they list why they think it's okay to take this vaccine, that even though, yes, aborted fetal tissue is connected with the development of these vaccines,
right, we're
saying that it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's far removed, or
the gravity of the situation.
The gravity of the situation, but they still will say at the same time, practical reason makes evidence that vaccination is not, as a rule, a moral obligation, and that, therefore, it must be voluntary. This comes out of the catechism as well. All right, so then they go in this paragraph 5, by the way, they go into a big thing about the common good. They go on and on and on about the common good without really defining common good, because I think they expect you really not to read your catechism, because none of these paragraphs stand alone on their own. Every single one of them support each other. They all cross-reference each other. And if you go through these articles and through these chapters and sections that I have gone through, you'll start to see a clear picture painted, and it's not in favor of, turning our backs on what we know to be morally illicit, right down to our very core of who we are. So, common good. By common good is to be understood the sum total of social conditions which allow people, either as groups or as individuals, to reach their fulfillment more fully and more easily. Common good concerns the life of all. It calls for prudence from each, and even more from those who exercise the office of authority. Authority is exercised legitimately, only when it seeks the common good of the group concerned, and if it employs morally illicit means to attain it. If rulers were to enact unjust laws or take measures contrary to the moral order, such arrangements would not be binding in conscience. In such a case, authority breaks down completely and results in a shameful abuse. And just think about that paragraph for a second. Do you think that they're employing morally illicit means to convince you to take the shot? Because from what I've seen, everyone's getting coerced with either threat of losing their livelihoods, and then they start to think, I'm not going to be able to feed my family, my children. You know, what's going to happen to us? How far are they going to take this if I keep saying no? Does it sound like morally illicit means? It doesn't to me. If anyone has to use a lot, or you know, and the fact that they're censoring all other data that doesn't support the narrative.
Right.
I don't think there has been any morally illicit means for any organization or institution to push this upon us. So that makes my BS detector go off. And that's when I start to really try to discern through my own conscience what I should do. Now, are they acting in a despotic manner? In many cases, yes. I mean, you turn on the news, and this is like a bad movie that I never wanted to be in. Now, in number 3...
of the Pope's or the Vatican's letter.
Yeah, in paragraph 3. Now, they state that all vaccinations recognized as clinically safe and effective can be used in good conscience, with certain knowledge that the use of such vaccines does not constitute formal cooperation with the abortion from which the cells used in production of the vaccines, as a complete contradiction of Dignitas Personae, which is another letter that was put out in 2008 by the same congregation of the faith. Now, that one's about 23 pages long. And in 23 pages, we talk about direct use of cells in abortions, techniques for assisting fertility, freezing of embryos, reduction of embryos, more stuff that I can't even pronounce, gene therapy, the use of stem cells for therapeutic research, biometric material of illicit origins. By the way, this is illicit origins.
Biological material.
Yes.
Yeah, because babies have been killed.
This was put in 2008. So basically what they're saying is, yes, we have all these standards that we've set forth for hundreds, and sometimes some of these standards are even thousands of years old.
Right.
Especially this one, about the dignity of all life.
Right.
They're saying these babies were already dead in the 1970s or 80s or something like that.
They were killed in the 1970s or 80s, yeah.
And it's okay because they only just used a little bit to test.
And it's so far removed.
To test the drug. And it's so far removed. And don't let anybody tell you that there was never any stem cells used in any of making either Pfizer, Moderna, or...
Well, definitely Johnson has the DNA in the shot itself that goes into your arm.
I'm sure Lori's already put it up on her website. And there is a list that was pushed out from the Children of God for Life. Mm-hmm. And they're, I believe, they're a non-profit, aren't they?
Probably.
Yeah, they're a non-profit medical organization. All right, clearly Christian. And they put together a very good comprehensive list of every single one of these COVID-19 vaccines, including other vaccinations.
I haven't seen this list yet. I've only shown everybody the chart on my Instagram.
If you click on the chart, it'll say click here for more. You click on that, and it will give you every single one of these vaccines with links to their, oftentimes, even their patents that clearly show that they used human embryonic kidney, HEK 293.
Yeah.
And
they harvested those kidneys with those babies alive.
Yeah.
So
right here it says BioNTech and Pfizer. Mm-hmm. It said it was tested on HK 293, but is not in the product. So whether it's in the product or not, it doesn't make a difference.
Your batch. It's every batch. It's not one.
Right. The Dignitas Personae clearly talks about the immoral illicity of using tissue from these means. Whenever she leaves, I lose train of thought like that. I don't know why she had to leave. Okay, so unfortunately the Vatican is being very unclear and ambiguous, which makes the determination of what I should do as a Catholic even harder.
Right.
Shame on them for doing that, to be honest. Okay? then there are plenty of bishops, archbishops, cardinals, and priests out there who are not following in line with this because they see the evil of this just as much as I do, or maybe as you do.
This message is really for those
But
who are
this
on
is
the
message
fence.
really for those who are still like, I don't know what to do. Okay. Now I've pulled up letters for my packet from the bishops of Colorado, and it speaks very clearly and plainly about informed conscience, about your informed consent, that a person must follow that. What's the word? About your soul. Condemns your soul? That could potentially condemn your soul. Because me knowing that there are human fetal tissue in this,
involved in this,
yeah, then I have knowledge that this was committed, and if I participate, then I am in cooperation with that heinous act. I am supporting it. I'm saying, never mind about everything that I believe and everything that I have stood for all these years, known as an intrinsic truth. It doesn't matter anymore because the organizations and institutions that run my life are telling me that that doesn't matter anymore. I don't agree. And I'm willing to potentially lose my livelihood over it. I really am. Not saying that everyone is in the same position. I'm not in a good position, one way or the other. It's going to be very tough, depending on what happens. So, anyway, we know that the DOD has eventually come out and they said, or the FDA has come out and they said it is approved. So therefore, the DOD is taking that and they're running with it like crazy, and they are going to go ahead and go onto their September 15th deadline. Maybe, I don't know, because there's been a couple of memos that have been pushed out to the force, and they are
vague.
They're vague. They're filled with their talking points and why they think it's a good idea to make everybody get it. But there's no guidance on what people like us are supposed to do, because that's a big question. And there's no guidance on what date and what's going to happen if you don't. There's nothing.
Right.
I went and I sought out help from legal. Legal said, I can't help you. You had to go to a chaplain. And I said, well, isn't this a legal matter? Apparently it's not. Apparently the chaplain's office is where you need to start. If your chaplain doesn't know, don't let them tell you. You have no recourse. Just get the shot. Don't let them tell you that if you really want to try for this religious exemption. I've already heard it happen a few times now where somebody has gone to speak with their chaplain of whatever branch they're in, and that chaplain has told them there is no religious exemption for this. That is not true, because the instructions come from a DOD instruction. I believe it's DOD instruction 1300.17.
I'll put it on the screen, the exact one.
Yeah, and you can find it in. You can find all this in AR. If you're in the Army, you can find this all in AR 600-20, and also AR 40-562, paragraph 2-6. Paragraph 2-6 spells it out pretty clearly, and a really simple and simplistic instructions as well. You want to just verbally walk them through what the process is? Yes, and so what the process is first what you're going to do is you're going to write yourself up an exemption request memo. All right? I will... You feel comfortable sharing that? I think I'm comfortable sharing my memo that I put up. It's a bit lengthy, but I'll put that up there. And anyway, you do that, and you can put in any enclosures, any additional information that you want, extra letters from your own personal priest. Or I did, like I said in my packet, I did multiple paragraphs from the catechism that tied into this, including about abortion, including about sin and our virtues and what conscience is and what the common good is. And I also put in the instruction in Dignus Personae from 2008 that came from the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. And that's about 26 pages long. It's very thorough. And I put this in there for the sole purpose of the fact that it doesn't mention vaccines, okay? But it does mention human fetal tissue being used illicitly through several different kinds of scientific
bioethic,
through other bioethic means
issues,
and they take very clear stances in this, and it's so in the spirit of this instruction, I don't see how the Vatican say, it'll be fine. All right, so moving on, the next thing that I put in the letters I put in the table about the fetal cell line production.
Right, let me interrupt real fast. So the Vatican has always said that vaccines are okay if they're involved in abortion, if the matter is grave and you decide that you need to seek out a vaccine. So in the past, we have just, full disclosure, we've been very pro-vaccine and we've gotten all of our shots. Now, this current situation has made it to where we've done more research, our eyes are open, the scales are off, and so at this point, going forward, we are not comfortable receiving any kind of vaccine that has any kind of correlation with these aborted babies. Yeah. You may not be in that same place. This is not a judgment. This is more a discussion on the ability to, one, get your exemption if you are in the military, and two, also just to show that you're not alone if you are also grappling with these moral issues or if you disagree with what's coming out of the Vatican, because that's okay. The Pope is not speaking in the chair Peter at this point. These are his opinions. These are the opinions. We should take them and look at them, and we should weigh them against our conscience.
Yeah. And that's something that I forgot to add earlier when I was going, when I started pulling up that letter, was keep in mind that unless the Pope speaks from the chair of Peter, his words are not infallible. Okay? He could say we all have to wear hats tomorrow, but we don't have to wear the hats unless he spoke from the chair of Peter saying you have to wear a hat. Okay? So, because let's say that hat represents something evil to us. And he's like, you got to wear that hat.
I mean, ultimately, we have to face God at our particular...
Right, because I'm going to discern my conscience and what that hat really means. And I'm going to decide, no, I see a moral evil there. I'm not doing it.
So that you can just...
I have a very good one, a very good letter, a very good article, actually, that was written by Bishop Schneider. Mm-hmm. I can't pronounce his first name very well.
Athanasius.
And he's
everyone knows Bishop Schneider.
Bishop Schneider from Kazakhstan, apparently. I didn't know that. He wrote a very, very, very good letter.
And it's
highly suggest reading that one.
It says COVID vaccines. Hold on. It says COVID vaccines, the ends cannot justify the means. On the moral illicitness of the use of vaccines made from cells derived from aborted human fetuses. So this is just... like Ryan's saying, oh, great.
What is it? Okay, she took off again. I guess there is something in the oven that she's got to go check on. I'll try to keep with it here while she's gone. She usually keeps me focused. All right, so you've created your exemption memo, your request for the exemption memo. While you're working on that, you schedule a time to either meet on the phone or you can do it digitally through email to speak with a chaplain. All right. And from what I understand now, in the instructions, it does say a unit chaplain, but if you're like me and you don't really have a unit chaplain in country, because that's the way the circumstance works out, and I know some units that don't have any unit chaplains because there just aren't enough to go around. Imagine that. You can get with any chaplain. Any chaplain that's willing to support you.
Any denomination, is that correct?
Any denomination. Okay. It really doesn't matter. The first guy I found, I don't even know what he was, but he wasn't Catholic. I just know that. You're supposed to get approval for the recommendation from your chaplain. They can also disapprove the recommendation. It's not really a litmus test to make sure that you are as faithful as you say you are. Okay? What they're looking for is sincerity.
This is a lot of work, so hopefully anyone who undertakes it...
It's a bit of work, too. At least it was for me to compile everything that I wanted to compile to make my argument. And so, anyway, even if they don't approve the recommendation, it doesn't matter. It still gets sent up because they're not the approving authority. Okay?
That's good to know.
All right, so after you have that counseling from a chaplain, then you have to contact your medical provider to get the same thing, a counseling. All right, so you call up the medical provider and you just tell them on the phone, or you walk in and say, I need to speak with my primary care or anyone really who can help me with getting my religious exemption for the shot. And if they don't know what's going on, they're going to try to give you an appointment. You don't need an appointment for this. This is literally over the phone or just walk in, and I will also provide a template for that as well.
Okay.
Of what the memo is supposed to look like. And really all they're going to do is they're going to tell you these are the benefits, these are the risks of taking it, and these are also the risks of not taking it. So and so Joe Snuffy completely understands everything that I've told him, and so therefore he's good to go, and then they'll sign off on it. That packet's complete, and this is the part that I have not done yet, is then you take it to your command. You take it to your command, say, here's my packet. They're supposed to counsel you. I think maybe in conjunction, they can do it per the instructions with the chaplain at the same time. But since you already had the counseling for them, they may not. They might just do it over a phone call or something. And they'll basically just tell you, well, they basically just ask you, do you know what you're getting yourself into? And like, do you know what the consequences are? Because even if your religious exemption is approved, you can still be administratively separated. But if you are dead set, like I am, on not taking this at all, well, then this is setting you up. So at the very minimum, you're not going to be discharged because of misconduct, because that is not my goal. I'm not trying to be acted in a misconductful way. Conductful?
You're trying to act
misconducting?
Brain words.
Words, mouth, stuck. Disobedient?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be disobedient. I'm trying to protect my soul.
Yeah.
Which
is more important than our worldly jobs.
The health of my soul is more important to me. So, and it's more important to me than my worldly job, like Laura said.
Going off. Thank you.
All right, go check your bread again.
It's done.
Okay, yummy. At that point, it's going to take about 30 to 60 days, I believe, for it to come all the way back and for you to get an answer. Now, you're probably wondering, well, the 15th of September is right around the corner. I'm screwed. What's the point? Not necessarily, because even in the regulation, 40-562, paragraph 2-6, it is you, as long as you are in the process, there'll be a hold on what to do with you as far as the immunizations go. They can't make a decision yet because you are in the process, which you are entitled to do in order to get this exemption. Okay? So, in a nutshell, that's the process. If you do this, keep in mind, you will be treated differently. All right? You will be treated differently when you start this process. You're probably already being treated differently because if you haven't taken it by now, you know. They know you. They know who you are. Even though they're not supposed to say anything, they're not supposed to confront you about it, you will be confronted about it more and more often. Be prepared for that. Okay? All right, so with that, I just want to hit you with some closing thoughts. I wish I could just honestly read out every single paragraph that I pulled from the catechism that helped me in my discernment of this, but I'm going to list them on Laura's website for you guys to take a look at.
And they'll be under the video description too.
Listen, I'm telling you, every single one of these paragraphs support each other. Okay? Give them a read. Every time you read one, think about how that is working with your life right now. What that means in your life right now. I want to hit you with this one last paragraph that I used out of many from the catechism. All right, this is paragraph 2106. Nobody may be forced to act against his convictions, nor is anyone to be restrained from acting in accordance with his conscience in religious matters in private or in public, alone or in association with others within due limits. Due limits. The right is based on the very nature of the human person, whose dignity enables him freely to assent to the divine truth which transcends the temporal order. Transcends the temporal order.
Right.
For this reason, it continues to exist even in those who do not live up to their obligation of seeking the truth and adhering to it.
Right.
If you're going to make this decision because it's the right decision for you. All right? I'm not going to tell you to get it or not get it. I'm not going to tell you to put your career up on, up in a noose, Everyone's got a different reason. There's a few people, not many, that are trying to do the same thing that I'm doing right now where I'm at. And one of them has already told me, he says I think I'm just going to give up. It wore him down. All right? But it's not going to wear me down because I have spent several weeks researching this, how it's done, why it's done, all the other problems that come without it. And I've spent a lot of time digging into the theology of our faith, the philosophical matters of what makes us human, what makes us children of God. And I've decided that it does not matter how uncomfortable life is going to get for me.
Or for us.
Or for us. God will provide because God will be there with us. I have oftentimes in the middle of this whole thing that has caused a lot of stress, a lot of sorrow, is the moment where God is walking on water and tells Peter to come out to him. Peter, of all people, starts walking. Peter starts walking, but of all people, Peter even starts to sink a little bit. And he pulls Peter out and says, "You have little faith," right? We all know the story. We are like Peter. We see Christ, we know he's there, and we want to go to him. But our faith, we will stumble in our faith and we'll start to sink. But he's going to be there to pull us out. There's nothing that will change my mind. Not one thing. You can even put a gun to my head and I won't do it. Though your discernment might go in a different direction than mine. You may have other reasons why. Just don't let it be something that you did because someone told you had to or else.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst reason to do this at all. One of the worst reasons anyway.
Most job situations are in a threatening position right at this point. They're not actually firing people. The Army has not kicked anybody out yet for this. And so I see a lot of people getting the shot in order to, because they think because they think something's going to happen. And again, like I said the other day, you're imagining a future without God. God can change hearts in a second. God can change circumstances. Mother Mary can come in at any point and end all this. And so if you think this is not a moral decision, even if you come to a different place where your fear takes you over and you can't stand strong in this, at least wait till the last second. At least wait till they literally saying, you better get this or tomorrow I'm signing your papers and you're cutting your pay or whatever it is. But I want to encourage you also that this life is very, very short and eternity is very, very long. And we always want to try to do things that are pleasing to God, even if it makes us uncomfortable. And God will always be there, like Ryan was saying. And so I think Catholics are going to have to make some hard decisions soon regarding where they live. Maybe selling your house, maybe moving somewhere else, maybe getting a different job, starting your own business. Because the world is not getting lighter and the country, America, is not getting more Christian. I've had this feeling for a long time. And so this decision, whether to be a have or have not, is something that you really need to trust God and prayerfully discern. And like Ryan says, not just make a decision based on fear.
Yeah. Make a prudent choice.
Yeah.
I've been told my entire military career, the Army will never tell you or ask you to do something illegal, immoral, or unethical. 2 out of 3 of those are definitely hit. This is immoral and it's unethical to be asking people of faith to act against their convictions and put something in their body that they know got there because of an immoral act several years ago. Okay.
All right. Let's wrap this up with an Ave Maria. Let's ask Mother Mary to pour her graces down upon the military, upon all of those of you who are watching, who are discerning this decision, whether you're in the military or you're in some other kind of career that is trying to mandate this. This is not something that should ever be mandated, and our prayers go out to you, and we ask that you pray for us. So, do you want to lead us in the prayer?
Yeah. In nomine Pater.
In nomine Patri.
Patri, because it's Pater Nostre, but then it's Patri.
Mm-hmm. Patri.
I'm getting used to it. In nomine Patri, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti.
Amen.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Jesus.
Sancta Maria Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et ora mortis nostrae. Amen.
In nomine Patri, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Alright guys, comment down below if you want to chat. You can email me and I can pass on your emails to Ryan if you need to talk to him personally. And like I said, everything else will be down below.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please get in contact with her. She'll get in contact with me. She's kind of the middleman. So
yeah. And just know this is a hard decision, but there are people out there just like you and I. You are not alone. And I just want you to know that. And I think that's what Ryan wanted you to know. And
yeah, that was the purpose of this. I wanted you all to know that you're not alone. Take what you will from this. You can either say, this guy's a chump. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I've already been told from other social media outlets that I'm a traitor for my position. Whatever. Or you can say, thank you so much. I mean, I don't know. Point of the matter is, there's information here to be had in order for you to exercise your rights to seek out this exemption.
Right.
Okay? Yeah, I guess that's all I got. There's so much to say, but there's no time to say it. And
I know.
She's gonna have edit this for the next 2 days anyway. So
just make so like I said, reach out if you need to. I'm always updating that blog post about information regarding this topic. And with that, continue to know, love, and serve God, because that is really the most important thing. Nothing else really matters. And we'll see you later. Bye.